Happy Friday, Floss Tube. My name's Caroline and welcome back to the Friday Stitch With Me videos that I like to do here on my channel, Off the Grid Needlearts. And as you can see, I am switching up my projects this week. It is March 1st, which means it's time to change over my projects for the month. So this is a Glendon Place design, and I've gone it a bit far back so that I could try to fit all of what I have done so far into the screen, and then I'm going to move it in a minute so that I can get to the part where I'm working on. So here's what it's going to look like when it's finished. It's hard to tell from the picture, but all of this section is all of this sort of delicate, almost looks like a lace border around the outside. And then it is these sections in here and in each of these quadrants here, those are all beads. So the beads that it calls for, let's see, I've got them all tucked away in a bag, so pardon the noise, but you can see the colors that are going to be added in by those beads are just beautiful. I've had this kit, I've had this whip on the go for I'm probably into year 4 at this point, so I'd really like to see if I could get the stitching on this finished in 2019. So this project may make another appearance later in the year, not just in March. So we'll see. I have a photocopy of my pattern of the original because it's in a book form, and in order to keep track of where I am and what I've stitched, I found that highlighting or marking off with a pen what I have stitched has been a really big help. So but Glendon Place patterns are really well done. Very, very easy to read, very clearly charted. So I'd highly recommend if you're in the market for a pattern that's similar. There's a whole series of these dessert patterns, and they are all gorgeous, just gorgeous. Okay, so let me get myself situated here, and then we'll get started with the stitching. I am using a Hearthside Craftworks floor frame. This is a company from Calgary, Alberta. This is the Mark II floor frame. It has a, as you can see, I can swivel. Oop, you can see my little suitcase and my running shoes. So there you go, a little bonus shot of my. I haven't unpacked from my retreat last weekend, so there you go. There's a little more information on me than how organized I am. So it swivels easily, very, very easily. I love this floor frame. It's handmade. It's very, very sturdy. I can raise and lower the height of my project. So I like it a lot. I had a question on last week's video about Tracy's frame that she was using. Her lap frame is the same as the lap frame that I use. So this is for Julie. Julie had asked the question about Tracy's lap frame. I believe Tracy's is the same as mine, which is a K's Creation. And that is K''S Creations. Creation spelled with a C. And I believe you can look them up online and have a peek at those. They're also, I've been very pleased with mine. So there you go. Okay, so let's see. I think I'm gonna work down here and sort of work on this little motif there. So I'm gonna loosen my bars and raise up my fabric. But I thought you might like a good close-up view of this beautiful design before I got it to where I need it to be for my stitching. I like to snug that up so that it's nice and taut. This is a Picture This Plus fabric. It is not the called for fabric. The called for fabric was Mesa, 28 count, hand dyed, cashel linen, Picture This Plus in the Mesa colorway. I found it a bit orange. I found it a bit orange for my taste. Not that I don't like orange, but it wouldn't really go with anything in my house. So this, I believe, is the sand colorway, which was the called for fabric for one of the other dessert pieces. And so Kathy, the owner of my local needlework store at the time, Thread and I, she had this in stock, and I just thought that the called for colors, these are the called for colors for this design. I thought that they just looked beautiful on this fabric. So I splurged and I treated myself to this really beautiful piece of linen. So considering it's been on the go for 4 years, it is time to finish it up. And you know, it's funny. I make project bags. I do that. That's my job. And you're gonna love what I have this project kept in. Just a good old plastic folder from the dollar store, because this was given to us at a retreat, and I happened to be working on this piece at that time at the retreat, and I thought, oh, well, that's good. I'll just tuck it in there. So this has become the project bag for this piece. So use what you have. And since I have lots of projects on the go, I can never have enough project bags. So it is a hard, firm plastic. I mean, it's still flexible, but I think these type of folders are easily found at Staples or Business Depot or anything like that. Very, very inexpensive. Just a nice place to keep everything in all together. Neat and tidy. Okay, I also keep my threads in floss away bags. You can use baggies, you can use little Ziploc bags, sandwich bags. You can find little bags at the dollar store. And you can punch a little hole in them, whatever. I bought floss away bags simply because Kathy sold them and I liked to support her shop. So that's the only reason I have these instead of Ziploc bags. So these are the colors. I hope you could, yeah, there you go. You can see those in the bag. And the color that I'm working with right here, I believe we're doing this one. It looks like I may have finished off the last little bit of silk. Whoops. That's the one thing about those project bags. They're slippery if they're not on a flat surface. So it rings a bell that I think I have another skein of this downstairs. I'm gonna have to look for that. But anyways, let's open up a new one for our stitching today. So they always tie a little knot at the top. And because I like to have every millimeter, every last millimeter of thread, I am not gonna cut that knot. I'm going to very carefully undo it. Of course, I'm making a hash of it, aren't I? That's what happens when you do these things in front of someone else. There we go. That's better. Okay. So that I didn't have to cut it. So this is called Red Dust. And then there's going to be another little, whoops, sorry. I've got my coffee needle minder with my few extra needles on here today. Now the 28 count fabric is such that I can usually get away with using one of the slightly more dull Bowen needles. I have some of them in my stash that I'd like to Now I usually use my needle tip to just gently undo that last bit there. Unwind my skein. And because this is a fresh skein, you'll see it comes in a circle. So one loop is a little bit too much thread for me to use at one time, but half of a loop is not quite enough. So I simply very carefully take, oh, and you know what? There's one more. I missed it. There were 2 loops there. Now I've got it. Now we're ready to go. Okay. So if you've never worked with dinky dies before, maybe that gives you an idea of how it comes and how to take it apart and deal with it. So then I simply take one strand, and I'm careful, really careful, to keep my hand inside that loop, because the last thing you want to do is deal with a big tangled mess. So I take out the length, leaving my hand inside the big loop. I take out the length of thread that I'd like to stitch with. And I'm gonna snip that off. And then the rest of my loop, here, I just simply keep it, I put it together, gently twist it like that, and then I'm going to put that just like that back in my floss away bag. The silk does it will tangle, but if you treat it gently, so there, it will live in its home just like that until the next time I need some more. So, oh, actually, I'm not going to put the bag away yet, because as you know, I'm going to have some extra thread from the length that I'm using here. So 2 strands, 28 count, 2 strands over 2. And then the remainder of my floss, I'm simply going to roll it up gently and keep that in the bag along with the other stuff there. Ta-da! Easy peasy. All right. And let's go. Sorry. Sometimes I can't concentrate and talk at the same time. Anyway, it's not usually a problem to not talk for me. I mean, it is a problem for me to stop talking. So, all right. So we're going to be starting right in there. Silk is always a little bit more slippery than cotton. So when I sew in the end, I go nice and slow, make sure that I don't have to. It does slip right out again quite easily. So there, now we're firmly attached and ready to go. It is such a difference working on a 28 count versus doing the modern folk embroidery on the 40 count linen. This feels enormous. Isn't that funny? It also feels like I'd be done this in 5 minutes, and why haven't I finished it already? Because geez Louise, this should be done already. Okay, so what do I want here? I want to be 3 more. So I had some, again, great comments on last week's video. Thank you so much. you left me a comment, I've gone in and I have double checked and hit that heart for everybody who left me a comment last week. They're so fun to read. So thank you. First of all, a shout out to Teal, who always comments on, I know she comments on my video, and I know I've seen her name pop up on other FlossTube videos. She's a frequent commenter. And Teal, thank you so much. It is appreciated. You mentioned last week that you were watching the Stitch With Me video and waiting for the arrival of your new granddaughter. So I wanted to know whether your new granddaughter had arrived safe and sound, and maybe you'd be willing to share her name. And congratulations if she is here. That's pretty exciting news. So congratulations to Teal, or congratulations soon to be. And the next one was Nevada Stitcher. Nevada Stitcher left me a lovely comment and wanted to know if I was going to be attending the StitchCon retreat in Ohio this coming summer. And you may recall last week I was at my stitching retreat that is here near London, Ontario, in a little town called Ingersoll, very close here to London, Ontario. We've been going there for the last 3 years. It's been put on and hosted by a couple of ladies in our close-knit stitching group here. Miss Patty, who you've all met, and Joanne, and Patty's daughter Carrie, and they just do a phenomenal job. It was really, really fun. Very relaxing. So nice to catch up with friends that I only see a few times a year. And we had a great time. We ate a lot of really good food too, so that was fun. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that should be added together. We should have 8. Yes, 8. Okay. And so Nevada Stitcher asked, because we were, discussing retreats last week, she wanted to know whether I was going to StitchCon in Ohio. And unfortunately, I am not. I'm not going to StitchCon. I am going to the FlossTube New Jersey retreat. So I will be, I'll be at the New Jersey retreat in August, the first weekend in August. And I'm looking forward to meeting some new friends. So that'll be fun. Maybe I'll do StitchCon next year. I don't know if I'm lucky enough to get in. I gather there's a waiting list to get in. So who knows what a year will bring. But along the same lines of speaking about retreats, this next comment and question came from Brenda. And Brenda lives in Memphis, Tennessee. And she wondered whether there were any retreats in or around Memphis, Tennessee, and how one would go about finding out. How would you go about finding out where these magical retreats are? And I thought that was a great question. And I certainly don't know. I only, you only know about retreats that you hear about. I don't tend to know where to look if I was, so inclined. So anyways, if we have any other viewers who are from around that area, if you know of any retreats that are going on, or maybe a way that, is there a group that we can join where information like that is shared, that we can, if there are other members who are looking to maybe attend their first retreat or try a different retreat, leave me a comment below and let's see if we can figure out where all of this information is kept so that we can be in the loop. So thank you, Brenda. That was a good question. The last kind of question that was from last week's video, other than so there's 2 more questions that I have to talk about. I think I got through. think I answered everybody else. There weren't a lot of questions last week. There were a lot of great comments on the discussion that we kind of had last week about ADA and DMC and all of the different tools that we use. And so I thought that was a great discussion. And thank you for contributing to that. So Vicky wanted to know, I had a lot of comments about my hair. My hair is very curly, and 3 times a year, sometimes 4, if I'm organized and on the ball, 4 times a year, I go to the hairdresser and I get my color done, highlights, and she straightens it for me. Because when I try to straighten my own hair, it ends up looking like an enormous mushroom. It's not a pretty look. And so as a little treat, I have the hairdresser straighten it for me. Because when you have curly hair and that's all you can have and that's all you can do, then sometimes it's just a nice little treat to do something different. And I like my hair. Don't get me wrong. I like my curls. I don't dislike my curls. It's just something different. I have to find out where I am here. Hang on a second. 2 more. I think 1, 2, 3, 2 more, 4, 6, 7. Okay. I think I'm headed over here. I like my curls, and when it's straight, so when you see me with straight hair, don't worry. It's going to be curly again as soon as I wash it. And yes, I have washed my hair since last Friday, and it is curly again. So I'll show you on Monday. Vicky wanted to know, Vicky says she also has curly hair, but she's always looking for a product, a magic potion to keep those curls looking nice. And yeah, isn't that always the way? People with curly hair, we're always looking for something that's going to help those curls look their best. I have shared a product before. And you know what, Vicky, I left you a comment and I said I would get the bottle out and show you. And I did not do that. So just let me pause this video and I will be right back. Okay, so it is called Curl Passion. This is what it looks like by Milkshake. Curl Passion with fruit extracts. So there you go. In Canada, we have milliliters. So I buy this from my hairdresser 3 times a year because I don't use very much. I barely use any. It doesn't take very much, and it lasts a really long time. Most people with curly hair don't wash their hair every day because, well, then it starts to look a bit like a lion's mane. But anyway, I like that stuff quite a bit. I think it works quite well. I have a lot less hair now than when I was younger, for various reasons. Age probably being the first one. Pregnancy, I lost a lot of hair after both of my pregnancies. I've also had a number of surgeries throughout my adult life for various and sundry reasons. I don't know, probably, how many surgeries have I had? I mean, minor. I'm fine. Don't worry. These are all, life. Things happen and you have to have something like wisdom teeth. No, wait. Wisdom teeth doesn't count. I'm not counting wisdom teeth as a surgery. Other things, not important to talk about here in a floss tube video, but I think the stress of, so yeah, I guess that's why I do include wisdom teeth, general anesthesia, general anesthetic. I believe the stress of that and the stress of the surgery, the worry about, all the stuff that's wrapped into that, I believe caused quite a bit of hair loss. So for, 6 months after each surgery, my hair started to fall out right around the crown, the top, around the, what do you call that? Temples, not the crown, my temples. And that's why if you see I have a gray streak on my one temple in the videos where you can tell that, oh yeah, Caroline should probably go get her color done. That gray streak was hair that all fell out. And when it came back in gray. Fascinating, right? Oh my goodness, that's so funny. I don't know how I got onto this. Anyways, Vicky, the magic hair potion you are looking for is called Curl Passion by Milkshake. And I believe you can find it on Amazon because I think that Olivia B may have popped on and bought some for her very self. So Olivia B, if you're watching, let me know how you liked it, if you tried it, and if you like it. Okay, guys, I have one question left that is a good one, a really good one. So I want to read this one so that I make sure that I get it right. This was from Marnie B. And Marnie is a fellow Ontarian. So hello, Marnie. Nice to have you around. Okay, so Marnie says, sometimes I love a beautiful sampler, but the words that are on it don't really apply to my life. I have often thought about changing them, then wondered if that was wrong to do. Then thinking, how would I even begin to do that? Have you ever done that? Any ideas on how I would go about interchanging large verses? That is such a great question. I mean, really, that's a really great question. So the short answer is I have never done it myself yet. I almost did it because you may remember I was working on His Eyes on the Sparrow. And yeah, that was disastrous because I started in the wrong corner and ended up completely scrapping the piece. So, which was a shame. However, there was some good things that came out of His Eyes on the Sparrow because I met and made some really good Instagram friends with that piece who were starting a stitch along at the same time. So if you've met Golden Stitcher, Susan on Instagram, she and I first started chatting around the time that we started that sampler. So it wasn't all bad. So there is a verse on there, and off the top of my head, I can't remember what it is. But again, I'm not an overly religious person. It's not really something that it's not that I have anything against it, but it doesn't really apply to me. And I like things to have meaning to me and my life and things that I hang up in my home. And so I had chosen an Oscar Wilde quote. And, now for the life of me, I can't remember what it was, but I was going to change that verse. But I never got around to it because I scrapped the piece. And I it's one of the few times in my life that I thought I can't do it. So, which was strange because normally I'm one of those people who has to finish everything right to the bitter end. Even if it's a book that I hate, I'm going to finish it. What am I doing here? Let's see. I am 1 away from there. So 2, that's right. And then it's going to be 3 away. Okay. I am a finisher. Even if it takes me 20 years, I'm going to finish it. But, so no, I have never done that myself, but I was prepared to do it for that piece. And so I thought what I would do, I chose a saying that had meaning to me, that of course I can't remember what it is now at this particular moment, but at the time I thought, yeah, that really fits. And it had approximately the same word count as the verse that was going to be on the piece. And I thought, okay, well, when I'm ready to do that, I would simply chart it out. And I think that's probably the easiest way to go about it, is to chart it out yourself and make it fit. And double check your math, double check your counting, double check your spacing, and just chart it out yourself. I do know for a fact that Letitia, the crafty curator, hi Letitia, she has for sure changed up verses on her pieces. She did one just recently. Which one was it? I can't remember which piece it was, but she added in a a Dr. Maya Angelou quote. And it was fantastic. It was fantastic. And she, I believe, charted it. She charted out the letters herself and then stitched them in place of the original verse that was on the pattern. Now, your sub question there of, is it wrong to do so? Well, I would think that a designer would be pleased that you are putting your own spin on their work, because it is for you. It's to hang in your home and model and reflect your stitching and your life. And I think that's a-okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But that's just my opinion anyways. Everybody's got an opinion. But Marnie, I thought that was a great question. And for anyone else who has, sorry, the siren's really loud. Just hang on a sec. There we go. For anyone who has done this, leave me a comment below and let us know how you went about doing it. How did you take care of it? How did you double check that your spacing was going to be correct? And, were there any pitfalls, things to watch out for that, you would recommend? Great question. Really, really good question. Okay, so I've got 5 more stitches here in this row, and I'm almost on my length of thread. Look at that. This whole video, I think I've only gotten through 1 length of thread, but it is 3:30 on Friday afternoon. My son is due home any minute, and I'd like to be available for him when he gets home from school today. He had a science quiz today that he was quite worried about, and he woke up with a really terrible cold. So he was feeling pretty sorry for himself this morning when he had to go out the door to school. So I'd like to maybe make him a cup of hot chocolate and sit down and hear about his day before I start my very own Friday party, because I think I'm going to work on my canvas piece tonight. I'm going to put a few stitches into my canvas piece tonight. And then later on, I'm going to come back upstairs and get back to this piece, because I love it so much. I think this is 5 as well. I'm going to have to double check my work in here. I think I may have made a mistake in here somewhere. All right, I'm going to have to go back in and fix something here, but let's bring the needle up and we'll say goodbye. All right, thank you for joining me today. I fully intend to chat with you guys on Monday and get through the comments and questions that were left 2 weeks ago last Monday. And I also will have a roundup of my progress that I made in February, because I'd like to look back at what I accomplished this month and sort of have a record of it for myself, so that I find it really encouraging to look back at what I've done, even if it wasn't a lot. These pieces that have been in my stash pile, seeing some progress is nice. This just feels so good. Isn't that funny? I just want to pet it and admire it. That's often what slows me down, is that I spend so much time admiring my work and patting myself on the back that I don't just get on with it, which is really quite funny when you think about it. Anyways, have a wonderful weekend. Happy stitching, and I will see you all on Monday. Take care.